You are learning a lot of new information. Remember, these videos are available to you at any time, so while it may feel like you are drinking from a fire hose, it's okay if this information takes a few reps to stick. Your leadership team is also readily available for any questions you may have. With that, let me answer a few frequently asked questions. The leadership team is composed of the C3Kids director, the connections coordinators, the volunteer scheduler, and the curriculum specialist. The C3Kids director oversees the entire ministry. They are responsible for leading and encouraging all volunteers in the work of the ministry. The volunteer scheduler is responsible for coordinating, maintaining, and updating C3Kids ministry servants' schedules. If you need a sub or assistance with your schedule, the volunteer scheduler is your person. The curriculum specialist is responsible for curriculum and teacher support. If you have any questions about the curriculum, contact the curriculum specialist. The connections coordinators, or COCOs as we like to call them, are responsible for Sunday morning operations, including setup, cleanup, kids check-in, welcoming families, managing classrooms, and supporting teachers and helpers. These positions tend to change personnel, so you can find who is currently filling these roles by checking Section 3 of the Policies and Procedures document, or by checking the semester schedule under the Resources tab inside the C3Kids Volunteers group on the Church Center app. There are two ways to figure out where you are serving, and both are in convenient apps we use every single week. The first app is the Church Center app. Once you are logged in, use the bottom navigation to tap on Groups. From here, you will see all of the groups you have been assigned or signed up for. Tap C3Kids Volunteers under this tab. It should be located at the top of the screen. At the top of the screen, you will see Resources. Tapping on this tab will show you all of the current semester's resources. You will find your C3Kids schedule and phone list there. Contained in this document is what team you are serving on and who you are serving with. You will also see a list of dates with assigned team numbers. This will allow you to forecast your schedule. The second app is called Services. The volunteer scheduler uses this app to notify you when you are serving. Under Schedule, you will see the dates the volunteer scheduler has asked you to confirm your service. You also have the ability to block out dates if you know you will be gone, or email your leader. Under Plans, you will see the date, the lesson's big idea at the top, the order of service, the team or who is serving that day, the service time, notes, which usually include who may be subbing for a team member that day, and files. The files are the lesson for elementary and pre-K that week. You can use the Files section to prepare for your lesson before Sunday morning. If you need a sub, the first thing to do would be to contact your volunteer scheduler. Your volunteer scheduler maintains the schedule for the semester and assists our volunteers in finding subs. They will point you to your C3Kids schedule and phone list, so you can find the contact info for the other teachers serving alongside you. Use this list to contact someone to see if they can take your shift. It's important to note, if you contact a teacher who serves on the opposite team to sub for you, you must swap days with them. So, for example, you are on Team 1 and you are scheduled to serve the first and third Sunday of the month, but you have a conflict for the third Sunday. You contact a teacher on Team 2 and ask if they could take your shift. Ask the other teacher if you can take one of their days for them, so they aren't serving several weeks without being in service. Sometimes swapping can create a bubble where one person ends up being scheduled to serve 3 weeks in a row. In the event this happens, the volunteer scheduler may contact other people to serve for you to avoid this bubble and prevent you from being out of service for too long. Swapping scheduled days for a Sunday will not result in your entire schedule shifting. Occasionally, there are last-minute crises that develop, which leave you needing a sub Sunday morning. If you wake up on a Sunday and you are feeling ill and don't feel comfortable being around children, or if you encounter a family emergency or any other situation that would necessitate finding a sub, instead of contacting the volunteer scheduler, contact your connections coordinator first. This will allow the COCO time to try and fill your spot as soon as possible. Yes, watching these training videos and the sexual abuse awareness training are two of them. We also have a series of forms that are part of our safety screening process. These forms are electronic and will be sent to you via email. These forms include the safety application, a background check, references, the statement of acknowledgement and agreement, the C3Kids Code of Conduct, the C3Kids Covenant. All of these are to be completed before you serve on your first Sunday. Sometimes we do have volunteers who sign up a little later in the recruiting process. If you haven't completed these steps, your connections coordinator and the C3Kids director will reach out with the reminders to complete this process. C3Kids has a special dedicated communion time at 9:50 a.m. on Sunday mornings. If it's possible for you to be here for communion, please make every effort to be here. The C3Kids director may also have pertinent information to provide at the end of the communion prayer. Missing these announcements may mean you miss key information. While communion is optional, it is asked that all teachers be stationed in their classrooms at 10 a.m. If it is 10 a.m. and you are not in your classroom and you haven't reached out to the connections coordinator, volunteer scheduler, or C3Kids director to let them know you'll be late, the connections coordinator will be reaching out to you to figure out when you will be arriving. We recognize major holidays put a strain on C3Kids. The Sundays closest to a major holiday, such as Christmas and Thanksgiving, will be no childcare Sundays. Other minor holidays will not be affected. If you will be gone on any given Sunday that has not been designated as a no childcare Sunday, you will need to follow the procedures for finding a sub. We encourage parents to familiarize themselves with any service or program their child is in. When it comes to being in our classrooms, we ask that parents not enter the classroom. This is twofold. We want our volunteers to help children transition into the classroom, and we want only our vetted volunteers to spend extended time around the children in our ministry. If a parent would like to have continued involvement in the class, they are more than welcome to undergo the C3Kids screening process and sign up as a volunteer. This is entirely up to parents' discretion, but here are some general guidelines we tend to follow when it comes to graduating to the next class. When a baby begins to efficiently be mobile, we often recommend they move up to the next class. Typically, children who are 1 to 1.5 years old are ready for the toddler class. From the toddler class, children who are around 3 years of age, who can sit and listen well, and who communicate well, are ready for the pre-K class. From the pre-K class, when the child enters kindergarten, they are then moved into the elementary class. It is worth noting we welcome children of all abilities into our ministry. We will work with the parents of children with special needs to make sure they feel welcomed and loved. First of all, you should never be alone one-on-one with a child. Keep that in mind when we're talking about the bathroom policy. For diapering, only female nursery workers or the parent or legal guardian will handle diapering. Within our classrooms, changing any child's diaper should be done in plain sight of other volunteers. Children should be changed on the changing stations only, and they should never be left unattended on the changing station. Once diapering is complete, the child should be reclothed immediately. We do not toilet train children, nor do we force any child to toilet train. However, when a child does need to use the restroom, C3Kids teachers will radio the COCO or Chexpert to come get the child and take them to the restroom. The COCO or Chexpert will remain within eyesight of each other for accountability purposes. Only female volunteers or the child's parent or legal guardian will assist the child with the toilet training process. A child should never be left unattended in the restroom. In the event of an accident, reassure the child. A female volunteer or the child's parent or legal guardian will change their clothing. Call the COCO if assistance is needed. For children with special needs, the parents will offer the volunteers information about what to do when assisting their child with diapering. After the age of 4, parents or legal guardians will be the only ones assisting children with their diapering needs. When a parent checks their child into C3Kids, the Check-ins app creates a button that the COCO and Chexpert can use to text the child's parents. If you need to call a parent, use the walkie-talkie placed in your room to alert the COCO. The COCO will take over from here. We always want to do our best to help a child transition from drop-off into the classroom, but sometimes drop-off is difficult. To help the volunteers, parents, and child, we will also call a parent if a child is inconsolable. We typically define this as a child who has been crying for more than 5 minutes. This is a great question. We have created a 1-hour in-person training to cover this topic. You will be able to ask questions and role play some examples to help you feel more comfortable in this position. We will communicate the dates for that training soon if you haven't received that information already. If you see something, say something. Here's the chain of command. COCO, Kids Director, Executive Pastors, Elders. Let your COCO know first thing. The COCO will alert the next person in the chain of command, and so on. It's also important to know that Texas state law mandates that every adult is a mandatory reporter. This means if you see something and you say nothing, you can be held legally responsible. Texas takes reporting very seriously, and C3 desires to take reporting seriously as well. Reporting can feel big and heavy, so if you need help or guidance, the C3Kids Director, Executive Pastor, and Elders will be available to you for help and encouragement. All of the information you need to contact the proper authorities is listed at the bottom of Section 6 within the Policies and Procedures Guide. That's a wrap for our C3Kids FAQs. If you have any questions outside of the ones that were covered in this video, please direct them to your C3Kids Connections Coordinator or the C3Kids Director.